in the car the other day, and a comment came on the radio, which I've heard many, many times over the years, that said, in this country, you're never more than 8 foot or 10 foot, and if you don't know what a foot is, then talk to your gran, 8 foot or 10 foot away from a rat. And that's a comforting thought, particularly if you're doing 70 miles an hour on the M6, because that means the rat's in your car. But aside from that, it then prompted me to start thinking about those other "you're only ever" type comments. And somebody said to me years and years ago, and again I've heard it a few times since, that you're only ever 10 handshakes away from a celebrity. So the theory is that you know someone, you shake their hand, they know somebody else, they shake their hand, and by the time you get to handshake number 10, that person knows a celebrity. They shake, and hence the reason you're only ever 10 handshakes away from a celebrity. The interesting other point, and this is quite sad, is, again, something I've heard many times over the years, is you're only ever 4 bad decisions away from being homeless. And that's quite sobering. It's quite sobering to think that, I'm 10 handshakes away from a celebrity, but I'm only theoretically 4 handshakes away from finding myself homeless. And the video that I'm just looking at here is somebody that we know very, very well, and he's a client of ours, and we've obscured his face, obviously to protect his identity. But this guy was successful in his career, successful in his life, and then he found himself in a situation where his marriage was breaking down, and he had some issues that we needed to take into family court. And as a result of taking those issues into family court, he was directed to comply with a non-molestation and an occupation order. The details aren't important, but he was directed to comply, and that compliance meant he had to leave his own home and go and find somewhere else to live. And that prompted this video that I'm just sort of looking at here.
This is me 6 months on, from 28th of March 2022 till today, 22nd, 23rd of August. I'm not even sure what the date is. Still sleeping in my van.
Okay, let's just pause that for a minute. We are 6 months down the road from when it is that we started his proceedings with the family law courts in this country. 6 months down the road, he has gone from successful, earning family man with his family home, going out to work every day to do his job, to living and sleeping in the back of his van because that is the only option available to him. And that is sobering, to say the least.
Life is very bleak. Left out to dry. Hung out by the family court system. This is me in my van. There's my tool vault. There's the shelving. There's my ladders. And this is me sleeping in the van. This has been my home for nearly 5 or 6 months. It's been difficult.
It's been difficult. That's an understatement, isn't it? He's living in the back of his van. He's gone from his family home to living in the back of his van, and the impact is greater than that, because he's not just living in the back of his van. This process has undermined and destroyed his self-esteem to the point that he now cannot work. He is now under a GP and taking medication in order to deal with his anxiety, to deal with his depression, to deal with some uncomfortable thoughts that he finds himself having during the night in the back of his van, as to why it is he should carry on and why it is he should go for tomorrow. And how did we get here? Well, we got here because the other side of this set of proceedings, his wife, made a set of allegations against him. Now, the way the family court works is that those allegations in the first instance have no need to be proven to be true. They have no need to be evidenced in any way. They have no need to be substantiated in any way. All you have to do is make the allegation. And the allegation needs to suggest that you, as the injured party, and the children involved are potentially at risk. As a result of that, the family court, has absolutely no issue and absolutely no choice but to award the non-molestation order, because if they don't and something happens to those children, they're obviously going to pay the price of that criticism, aren't they? Because they let those children be exposed to risk. The court cannot allow that to happen, so they have to take the safe option, and I entirely understand why they do it, but they have to take the safe option and issue the non-molestation, and then at a later stage, to issuing the non-molestation, the other party, in this case the gentleman that we're looking at on the screen, the other party has the opportunity to challenge the allegations made, and at some point in the process, the person who originally initiated the non-molestation has to justify and has to substantiate the allegations they made. This process, the reason we are here, the reason we are looking at this guy on the screen who is living in the back of his van 5 or 6 months further down the line from issuing that non-molestation, is because the court's let him down. Is because the court is so congested, is because the court is so crippled by its own workload and lack of resource, that his case currently is floating around on a desk somewhere. And has yet to be allocated any court time. This guy's in the back of his van, waiting for that court time to be allocated.
I have pains in my body. My joints hurt, my back hurts every day. My muscles are sore, pins and needles every day when I wake up. Sometimes I wake up sweating in the heat, sometimes it's really cold. I hope I can come back from this. I hope I make it back from all of this. There are more views of the van. I'll make another video. I'll make a video every night now. My situation. It is the 23rd of August. Just got up a little while ago. I did a video the other day, sleeping in the van overnight. Just thought I'd do a video just to show how my mornings are. So, got up.
It's quite upsetting to hear his tone, because when I first met this guy, when this process first started, and he was quite affronted and quite outraged by the fact that him and his wife were breaking up, and he was potentially going to be in a position where he wasn't going to get to see his children for what he believed to be a fairly short period of time. He was talking about, this process taking a couple of weeks for him to deal with, and then he would be okay and be back with his children. And here we are 5 or 6 months down the road. When I first met him, the first conversations I had with him, he was a brash, larger-than-life, full-on character. He was assertive. He was in control. What I see on this screen now, and albeit that we've obscured his face so you can't see him, but what I see on this screen now and what I hear in his tone is a man who is close to being broken. Is a man who has lost faith, not just faith in a system that is currently letting him down, a system that currently has left him sat in an in-tray somewhere until such times as somebody has the time to pick him up and do something that moves him on. Not just that faith, but also he's lost faith in himself. He's lost faith in his own ability to return from this and to get himself back to a positive place where he can get on with his life. And he can't see it. He cannot see beyond these proceedings, and he can't see the day that this will all be over.
Went to the doctors. I've had pains in my neck and shoulders. Sleeping obviously in the van is not healthy. It's not comfortable at the best of times. And sitting in the cab all day if you've got nothing to do, or you got a loose end. It's not good for your joints, not good for your muscles, not good for your health in general. So I've had a lot of pains in my upper back, my shoulder, trapped nerve, get pins and needles in my arm, my joints are hurting. So I had to go to doctors for that this morning. Been to the doctors. Hopefully they're going to give me a sick note as well to extend my sick further. I've now not worked for over 4 months, and I've just had a little reflection on my life, as in 6, 7, 8 months ago, for the last nearly 20 years, been in full-time work, did loads of overtime, been in a higher tax bracket, paid loads of tax happily. But I've gone from earning a lot of money, being a part of society, contributing to society, contributing to the system, to now really absolutely useless. I can't face not 1 hour of work. Mentally, the day goes in cycles. You're feeling up, you're feeling down. It's very hard to even think about work ultimately. And yeah, the contemplation is 5.5 months I've been rendered completely useless, from a hard-working individual to now where I am. Also, if you're looking at this now, I'm suffering hair loss in patches on my face. Patches, like I said, bald patches appearing on your beard. It's just not normal. I believe it's all stress related and the way it's affected my mental health. I'll just show you my dash. And today for breakfast, I'm going to be having Lucozade. This is breakfast for me, maybe lunch and dinner. I have no interest in what goes down my throat. It's whatever I can whatever I get hold of. I brush my teeth. This is my bathroom. I'm just going to turn the camera around for a minute just so you can see. This is my bathroom. See that? So that's where I keep my toothpaste, my shaving blades, and utilities basically.
So he's living in his van, which is a long way from where we were when we started this journey together. The family court is letting him down. Some would say through no fault of its own, through lack of resource, through congestion, through a system that just doesn't work as well as it should. But the other side of that coin is obviously because he's not working. He's not working, which means he's not earning. He's not earning because he was self-employed. So he's not earning. Consequently, he has no access to funds. But he is still making monthly payments to the child maintenance scheme, because the moment he was removed from the family home, within days, literally within days, he received a notification from the CMS that he had to pay out a sizable amount of money, running into, well, a sizable amount of money every month in order to pay for his children. So, removed from his home, denied the ability to work because as a result of his mental state, as a result of his physical state, but still with the financial burden of having to support his children. And he feels obligated because he's a father. So he feels obligated in order to fulfill that financial burden, but it is crippling him and it is destroying him by the day.
But this is life. This is as good as life gets. And last night I couldn't sleep. It was hot, very uncomfortable in the van, so I went for a walk in the market. There's a market not too far, Walthamstow. So I thought, let me see if I can find something to eat or find a takeaway, cheap and cheerful. And I saw loads of homeless people. I saw people making their beds under the arches of shopways, shop entrances. The entrance into the mall is a bit of shelter there. There's people making their beds out of blankets and cardboard and old jackets and whatnot. And I thought to myself, the reality is, if I didn't have this van, I'd be sleeping with them now. 5.5 months on, going from earning a lot of money, working a hell of a lot of overtime, earning a hell of a lot of money, to now sleeping on the road. That would have been me. I would have been sleeping on the road for 5.5 months. Most of these blokes had a can of beer or a can of Strongbow or something, a Stella or something nearby. They're using alcohol just to survive and get by, gets them through the pain of their situation and their struggle. I wonder how many of them have been through the family court and been separated and been labelled with, false allegations thrown at them from a spiteful partner.
We're going to leave him there, and we're going to, here at McKenzie Picave, we're going to continue to support him in what it is that we are trying to do for him. And what we are trying to do is to secure a path back to a normal life where he can go back to work, where he can go back to being a contributing member of society, and where he can go back to having a healthy relationship with his children, which is all he wants at the end of the day. That is all he wants. But I'll leave you with this question before we go to the outro. Do you know what the 4 decisions you need to avoid which would find you homeless? Thanks very much for watching. If you want to learn more about Daniel Picave Counselling, watch that video. If you want to learn more about McKenzie Picave Family Law, watch that video. And remember to subscribe, because 68% of you haven't. See you next time.